And welcome to another detailed episode of From the Pages, where we examine the golden age of wrestling through the original magazines that shaped public perception of the stars, rivalries, and industry of their day. This issue of Wrestling World, dated December 1967, offers readers in depth features on prominent wrestlers of the time, cultural profiles, fan interactions, and event breakdowns, all framed through the language and editorial voice of late 1960s wrestling journalism. Uh, let's examine each segment as it appeared, fact based, thorough, and accurate to the publication. Main features and articles: Taro Tanaka, a menace from Japan. Written by Lou Sahadi, this feature explores Tanaka's dual image as a disciplined, meditative martial artist and a brutal, calculating competitor. The article opens with Tanaka engaging in pre-match meditation, described as essential to achieving clarity. His stoicism and silence are contrasted with his post-meditation intensity. Tanaka's style includes his feared sleeper hold, which he claims took 4 years to perfect, handed down from wrestling elders. He states he targets pressure points and prefers a respectful, competitive mindset. His critique of Western culture centers on perceived lack of respect for elders and discipline compared to Japanese values. Off the mat, Tanaka is portrayed as cultured and humble, with interests in opera, cooking, classical music, and diving. He explains his approach to wrestling with a philosophy rooted in judo, jiu-jitsu, and Japanese codes of conduct. Alan Burke interviews Bruno Sammartino. This full-length conversation between talk show host Alan Burke and Worldwide Wrestling Federation champion Bruno Sammartino covers topics from wrestling legitimacy to physical conditioning, personal hobbies, and the cultural values Sammartino endorses. Bruno trains 5 to 6 days a week, often running 10 miles and combining strength training with wrestling technique. He has a near perfect record, claiming he's won 99% of his matches. He dismisses the idea that large, flabby wrestlers are weak, praising Gorilla Monsoon's ability to leverage his size effectively. Bruno opposes the idea of wrestling as pure entertainment, arguing that the physical toll is very real. He discusses opera as a personal hobby, recounting an amusing story about recording his voice and being surprised at the playback. On women's wrestling, Bruno is not supportive, saying it's not a sport suited for women, in his opinion. He emphasizes the importance of physical activity for youth and expresses concern about youth culture's direction in the U.S. He recalls a broken ankle suffered while attempting a flying tackle as his worst injury. George Steele, I Can't Afford to Teach. By Robert E. Willis, this article presents George Steele as both a high school teacher and a wrestler. Steele, real name Jim Myers, explains how he wanted to teach but couldn't make a living on a teacher's salary, so he turned to wrestling. He reflects on teaching physical education and the working with troubled youth at the Michigan Boys Vocational School. Steele speaks about his philosophy on discipline, youth behavior, and why he relates better to teenagers than their parents. His athletic background includes multiple varsity letters in high school and being a state-level shot put record holder. Wrestling gave him financial stability, and he emphasizes the physical demands and risks that many overlook. Mark Lewin's quest for the good life. Lewin is depicted living a peaceful, physically active life on Malibu Beach, California. The article explains his passion for skin diving, swimming, and living away from the pressures of fame. Despite being one of the top wrestlers in the country, Lewin values mental peace and physical health over flashy personas. He trains at Joe Gold's gym, has lost over 50 pounds, and swims regularly to maintain top condition. He avoids gimmicks in the ring, stating he no longer wears robes or plays to the crowd. He's focused on winning. Lewin's quiet home life includes family time, diving excursions, and running on the beach. He's described as introspective and content, unlike many of his more flamboyant peers. Graham versus Malenko, When One of Us is Dead. By Jerry Prater, this article sets the stage for a brutal rivalry between Luke Graham and Professor Boris Malenko. Their feud has escalated into a violent personal battle. The headline quote is from Malenko, suggesting that only death will resolve their hatred. The piece discusses past interference, sneak attacks, and philosophical differences between the two men. It's positioned as a must-see confrontation. Photo features and posters. Full-page portraits of Luke Graham, Tony Altimore, The Sheik, and Lou Albano are advertised. A color photo insert section from pages 35 to 68 showcases pose shots and action photos of major stars, including classic red and black ink artwork and dramatic in-ring moments. Departments. Photo of the month. The snapshot of Mitsu Arakawa performing a flying dropkick in a match in Chicago. Letters to the editor. Readers express admiration for the magazine's coverage and request specific features. A few highlights. Jimmy Manfredi from New York praises the Monsoon story. Jeff Shapiro of Los Angeles requests a repeat of the Top 50 Wrestlers feature. Robert Polendri of New Jersey asks why his correct quiz answer wasn't printed. One fan from Australia shares news about the fabulous Kangaroos reforming and winning the Australian Tag Team Championship. Wrestling quiz. A traditional quiz challenges readers to identify masked wrestlers. Winners are promised free subscriptions and will be listed in a future issue. Fanland. Edited by Helen Hartley, this segment helps fans join or form wrestler fan clubs and connects them with pen pals interested in the same stars. Notable mentions, requests for clubs about Argentina Apollo, Johnny Rougeau, The Sheik, Edouard Carpentier, and Bobo Brazil. Ron Kanavicki announces that he's now selling photos after closing his Wrestler of the Month club. Worldwide ratings. A full list of wrestler rankings from various territories is included, though specific standings are not detailed in the table of contents and appear later in the magazine. That concludes our in-depth breakdown of Wrestling World, December 1967, from the philosophical George Steele and disciplined Tanaka to the thoughtful Bruno Sammartino and beachside tranquility of Mark Lewin. This issue offers a clear snapshot of professional wrestling at a time when its stars were simultaneously athletes, characters, and sometimes even teachers and philosophers. If you appreciate these historical explorations, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. We drop a new From the Pages every single day. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on this next time.